What's going on, Draft League fans? My name is Arahpthos, and this is your Week 2 Power Rankings for PMC Season 4. Now, before we get into the rankings, we do have a few things that we need to clear up. Number one, Darth Vader has left the Power Rankings for the foreseeable future due to personal circumstances. We're sad to see you go, Darth, and we hope that we can make you proud by continuing to do these Power Rankings to the level of quality that you have presented. Next up, I have a new co-host, TheMewsTheBest. Unfortunately, Mew is unable to join me this week for recording due to personal circumstances, so I'm having to get a taste of my own medicine and having to do the Power Rankings myself without a partner. So I apologize to Nath for putting him through this because it's pretty hard to do. But anyway, now that we have that cleared up, let's get into mine and Mew's rankings for Week 2 of the PMC. So first up in the number 16 slot, we have Dpad Gamer and the Orlando City Serperiors. Now, Dpad was put pretty low for both Nath and myself for the Week 1 Power Rankings, and he wasn't able to play his game this week. He got a did not play, he gave the 3-0 forfeit, so unfortunately, we have to put him down at the bottom. It's just the way that it is. He didn't have that great of a showing last week, and yeah, he has also left the league. So sorry to put you so low, and this to be the note that you leave on Dpad. It's nothing personal. It's just, we couldn't really put anyone below you. But yeah, so moving on to both mine and Mew's number 15, we have the Oregon Duckletts. Johnny kind of made some pretty questionable plays. He did whiff a couple of toxics, however, that wouldn't have led to much damage on what the toxics would have connected on. He made plays, but he didn't really make them at the right time. The main example was when Mastodon had a paralyzed Medicham in, and Johnny managed to get in his Mega Pinsir. Now, while it would be nice for Medicham to get fully paralyzed and you to be able to set up a Sword Stance and sweep through, it's incredibly unlikely. There's a 75% chance that doesn't happen, and to bank on the 25% chance that Mastodon gets paralyzed really isn't terribly smart. You should have just taken out the threat there and found another way to set up Pinsir to pick up the win. That's the main thing that has me down at the bottom, has him down at the bottom for me, and I'm sure in Mew's notes that this accompanies, and I'm sure that in Mew's notes that the feeling is mutual. Next up, my number 13 and Mew's number 14, we have LuckyLad and the New York... Next up at my number 13 and Mew's number 14, we have LuckyLad and the New Orleans Night Daze. Now, we kind of put him really low, mainly for his prep. Biggest thing that stuck out to me was Trick Room Starmie to be the main win condition, like what he wanted to pursue this game doing. Now, Starmie has a base 115 speed. That is incredibly fast. Even uninvested, minus nature, 0 IVs, Starmie is still much faster than a lot of things on Mego's team. So, having Starmie as the Trick Room setter, it's not really the best thing to be having, because in order for the team to be functional in Trick Room, a lot of the time, you would have to set up room and then switch out, and then you have 3 turns to make use of the slow thing being faster, which, having a look at Mego's team, isn't really the ideal way to go through it. Also, being slower and unable to set up Trick Room, a lot of things were outsped by Mega Slowbro, and that meant that Mega Slowbro could get a slack off whenever it needed to, and overall, LuckyLad just kind of succumbed to just the overall bulk that Mega Slowbro has. And yeah, that's why we have him down low. By the way, our numbers 15 through to 13 are all interchangeable in my eyes. They're all kind of on the same level. So for my number 14 and Mew's number 13, we have Sharpino in the Sydney Krookodiles. Sharp really relied on Hera making the play that he thought he would. Sharp didn't really consider any other option. He never paused for thought as to what would be a good mid-ground play. He more made plays that would capitalize off one specific play, which kind of irked me a little, and it made me put him down a little bit lower than what Mew did. Now, I feel that if Sharp were to consider post-commentating his matches rather than live recording, he would experience a substantial performance increase. I feel that he, especially this week, he spoke what he was going to do, and that reinforced it. That made him want to commit to it. Whereas if he was sort of sitting in silence and if he was sort of sitting in silence and really thought through his plays, he would be able to find a stronger mid-ground play and be able to have more time to rest his mind and think for a late game plan, because he really did seem that he was only focused on winning the turn, whereas his opponent, Heracrossnite, was more focused on an end game, which overall ended up snowballing into a victory. Whereas, yeah, Sharp's, I will give you this, your commentary is on point all the time. There's no dead air. You do a good job with that, and unfortunately it means that your battle performance is sacrificed a little. The Gardevoir coverage was really good, according to Mew. It's been a while and I've forgotten what the Gardevoir was, so forgive me for that, but that was something that he could commend you on, so yeah. So moving on, at both our number 12s, we have Phantombass and the New York Cosmog. I feel that Phantombass really didn't play awfully. It really sort of came down to him having a certain style and then his opponent just capitalizing on the way that he's been playing and just sort of turning that against him. He did make a few unnecessary over-predictions, and Jake was able to just steamroll him after that. The prep was nice, but the Persian was a little questionable. It kind of killed the momentum that Tyler had really built up, but otherwise, he really didn't do a bad job. He just played a really good opponent and was just kind of taken out. So yeah, it does feel pretty harsh to drop Tyler down from 7th last week down to 12th, dropping him 5 places. It's still early in the season, and we're still trying to get everything ranked out. And yeah, so again, there's nothing personal about this. I just feel I feel a little guilty is all. But yeah, we'll be moving on to Mew's number 11 and my number 6, and that is the Hamilton Torracats. The reason why I put Mego up so much higher is because he preserved the Zapdos sack for basically the entirety of the game. He knew that once he switched it in, it was dead to rocks, so he had to just keep it in the back and just wait for the moment to be able to send it in so that way he could get something fresh in. And I think that was incredibly smart playing on his part. The Slowbro was played rather well. It was nice that it was able to outspeed things and get slack-offs off. And also, Banded 10% Zygarde was very nice to clean things up. Didn't try to use it to sweep through the team. Knew to use it only as a cleaner. And yeah, I do think that showed some really smart playing, and that's why I have them up at number 6. But Mew's main reasoning for not putting Mego up so high would be just because it's still early in the season and he's not totally convinced. And that's absolutely fine. Like, again, we're just still sort of early in the season and everything's a bit shaky. He's taking a more conservative approach. I'm taking a far more liberal approach with this, but that's all well and good. Yeah, so at both our number 10s, we have Heracrossnite and the SL Banefica. He kind of had a rocky start to the early game, like where Sharp just kind of capitalized on things that he wanted to do. But he kind of worked out, as I said in Sharp's segment, he kind of worked out a game plan to work out how to win the game, and he scouted things nicely. Unfortunately, he did make a miscalc with Scolipede, which cost him a lot of momentum. Had he just gone for the attack, he would have been in a much better position, but oh well, that's fine. The middle game was played very well, and then the late game, where he whiffed a Mega Horn, he just completely and utterly spaghettied the situation. Had he just gone for an Earthquake, that would have put everything, I forget what it was against, I think it was the Gardevoir, it would have put it in range of things in the back to finish off the game, but instead he tried to save differential, and it ended up costing him a point to differential, so there's some nice irony in there for you. So yeah, number 10 slot for Heracrossnite. Don't really have much to add on. He's a good battler. He just had kind of a shaky start to the season, and even like a shaky start to this game, which kind of made me not want to put him that much higher. Next up for our number 9s, we do have another Do Not Play from the Lowland Nidoqueens and Grounded Gliscor. I do think that Grounded Gliscor did play a very good week 1, even though that he did lose to Levine. He still played rather well. He may not have prepped well for Clefable, but he did end up pulling out a pretty good game, so that's why I've kept him at number 9. I feel it's the same thing for TheMewsTheBest, that he played well enough to warrant not getting rid of, not dropping that far. For both at number 8, we do have Levine and the Boston Kommo-o. Levine, his prep really suffered this week. He brought the same Clefable that he brought against Grounded Gliscor, and while it did put in work against Grounded Gliscor's team, Mega Venusaur was still able to break the Clefable, and I don't think that it was a very good set, and Mew seems to agree in his note saying Clef working week 1 won't mean it will work another week. Levine didn't really play horrible, but he didn't play particularly well, as in didn't really stand out with anything that he played or anything that he prepped, and I 100% agree with that. Yeah, he just kind of got slowly run through by Omega V's team and didn't really have any good comeback moments, didn't have any moments where it looked like he was trying to stage a comeback. It just kind of looked like slow punches that eventually just sort of waned throughout the entire fight. So unfortunately, we're having to drop Levine down to number 8 after his loss. Our number 7, we do have the Great Lake Greninjas now. once again, another did not play, so that is rather unfortunate that we have 2 games that were not at all played this week. So I do feel that Iceolate did play very, very well last week, despite his loss against Mastodon. But again, he didn't play this week, so we can't really give him a proper ranking based on this week, while we have given everyone else a ranking. So yeah, it's kind of sucky, but it is what it is. Next up at news number 6 and my number 11, we have Blue Rogue and the Grimsby Town Grimers. Blue Rogue kind of had questionable prep, not bringing along the Roserade to where it had a very, very good matchup. He did play what he did bring well, and he did eventually pull out a win against Arki. But he did play really passive around moments where he could have pulled out a win in the game. He scattered out Arki very, very well, but he couldn't really do anything in return. He had the knowledge, but he didn't have an ability to break the team. He just sort of had to slowly power his way through. And yeah, that's why I put him down a bit lower. I don't think they did anything absolutely fantastic, despite knowing for a fact that Rogue is a fantastic battler. He is our reigning champion, so there is that. But I don't feel that the way that he played really showed off the best of his abilities. And yeah, so at both our number 5s, we have ArkiKnight and the San Antonio Victreebels. He did lose this week, once again to Rogue, but he really stuck it out to the very end, and he played very, very well, despite earning that loss. His team matchup was overall not really that fantastic, and he did build a rather passive team to take on Rogue, which is basically why he eventually lost. But he still wished past on every opportunity that Rogue gave him. But unfortunately, he just didn't have the right coverage to beat down Rogue's team, despite how well that he played. So, despite losing to Blue Rogue, we've both put Arki above him, just because the way that he played was very, very, very strong. He did get his Vikavolt frozen, which, to quote Blue Rogue, was a massive deal. That Vikavolt was important. Vikavolt unfortunately did get frozen, and to quote Blue Rogue, that freeze was a massive deal. Like, that Vikavolt was very important, so yeah. The Vikavolt was not important by that stage. It's fine. It's just a meme. It's just a meme. Anyway, serious man, Jack. Alright, so for both our number 4, we both have the Tampa Bay Frogadiers, coached by the Verd. The Verd didn't play this week. I actually had Verd down at the bottom for my initial rankings because I didn't see the battle between him and Johnny due to the fact that I was running a fever, so I apologize for that, Verd, but sorry not sorry. You didn't play this week, and you didn't play poorly last week in the slightest, which is why you are still our number 4 player despite not playing. It feels a little cop-out to the people below you, but it's more of the fact that they didn't, like, even Arki, who, like, I was talking very proudly of, they didn't do anything to put themselves above the level of what Verd showed last week. So Verd still remains our number 4. And yes, so congratulations to you. Number 3, we have Omega V and the Colorado Rapidash. Omega V just kind of just sat there and drank hits while wearing through Levine's team. I feel he kind of squandered his Don fan. It could have been used elsewhere in the match. At the very least, he could have saved differential with it. But it is what it is. He also forgot about Icy Wind drops, but he still pulled out a very convincing win. The Frost Breath set on the Regice was absolutely amazing. Stops the Latias from calm minding up and running through the team, which is such wonderful thinking. I really, really like that style of prep. Yeah, just really, really cool. I don't have much more to elaborate on that. Mew, though, says that he went up because everyone else went down. He did have good prep, which I agree, but had a few oopsies, to quote him. That's amazing. Yeah, had a couple of oopsies, such as forgetting about the Icy Wind drops and just getting outspared. He was still able to recover from all that and took advantage of what he prepared and what his opponent prepared very, very well. Another player was the encoring the Clefable. You could have just sat in there and just whittled it down while you continually encored it, which I think would have been a much smarter play than risking damage on your Mega Venusaur. Winning the game faster is nice and all if you've got somewhere to be, but to guarantee the win, that would have been the smarter play. But that's just me. Moving on to our number 2, we have the Mastodon and the Mastodon Gastrodons. So coming off a week of being lucky and bad, Mastodon has managed to actually show that he's not always lucky and bad. He's just sometimes just an alright player. He made solid plays throughout the match. I do like how he set it up for Linoon to sweep through the game. It was really cool to be able to see Linoon pick up a lot of KOs without having to get a belly drum up. Living the Gigavolt Havoc from the Thunderous Eye was very, very clutch on its part. And yeah, being able to whittle everything was nice. Staying in with Metacham and ice punching the Pinsir, just so that way it doesn't get to set up, was a very nice play because it did indeed set up and you didn't get full paralyzed, so that's pretty nice for you. And yeah, just being able to put everything within range. The Psychium Z on Moltres was absolutely beautiful. It managed to dent the Miltank to get a clean switch into the Mega Metacham, which was very, very smart play. You were caught out by that Choppleberry, but that is what it is. You still played very well, Mastodon. Oh yeah, it was... to everyone calling me out, it wasn't an Electrium Z. That would be dumb. It lived to fly from the Thunderous, and the Thunderous was Supersonic Skystrike. That's right. Don't mind me. And so, moving on to both our number 1, we have Jake and the Virginia Tech Froakies. Jake just played really phenomenally this game. He just had a slow first game, just feeling out Tyler, just trying to see how he plays, and then used the rest of the game to absolutely capitalize on every play that he made, and just ultimately led to a very commanding victory. Jake has been very much so impressing me these past couple of weeks. Getting hit with the extra water shurikens did suck according to Mew, but he had a solid enough backup to get out of any other potential situations. I don't know what that means. Why don't I know what that means? We'll probably cut that out. He did face down some huge threats such as Air Balloon Magina, but he didn't really let that get the better of him. He understood that there are ways that he could play around it that didn't involve losing the game completely, and he just played very phenomenally this week. So that is why we have both given Jake our #1 spot 2 weeks running. We'll see if he can go for 3. And yeah, so they are our power rankings for week 2 of the PMC Season 4. Thank you all for watching. It has been fun to record. Hopefully, starting week 4, I will have my co-host TheMewsTheBest to join me. Unfortunately, for week 3, he's not able to make it as well because these are both going up one day after the other. So there is that, and we're very sorry about that, but we're doing the best that we can do with the time that we have. So yeah, you guys have a good one. We'll see you for the next power rankings, and to the rest of the battlers, again, if you don't feel like you are where you want to be on the rankings, then I guess just sort of have a cooler head going into your battles. Prep a lot more thoroughly than what you're doing, and yeah, hopefully you'll be able to climb that ladder in no time. So yeah, I've been Arahpthos, and goodbye.